Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhi स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा रीडिंग फ्रॉम श्रीमद् भागवतम by his divine grace AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is break after the first session after the break, and very grateful to everybody that we are joined. So our basic premises is never break. Break leads to break, right? So we never break. Only one annual break we take, and that is Kartik Yatra. And very grateful that everybody has joined back. This is said that habit formation, we should never break two continuous times. Then the other habits of breaking the habit starts. Okay. But here we take a pre-decided break, and that's how we come back. So we have completed chapter 5 of the 4th canto, and now we are at Canto 4, chapter 6. Lord Brahmā satisfies Lord Śiva. So we know the previous chapter, what has happened is Dakṣa, he insulted Lord Śiva very heavily, and then Dakṣa's yajna was frustrated. Sati, she just self-immolated herself. Seeing this, Veerabhadra and other followers of Lord Śiva, they taught a very good lesson, and there was a cursing, counter-cursing, and Lord Śiva is very upset. All said and done, what has happened is his very dear wife, Sati, she is no more. And here we come to now chapter 6. So chapter 6 is Brahmā satisfies Lord Śiva. This is divided into 5 sections. First section is text 1 to 8, where devatas approached Lord Brahmā for help. Now, devatas are informing Lord Brahmā about what is the, this mishappening that has been occurred. And Brahmā says that you cannot be happy offending such a great personality. You have to go satisfy Lord Śiva and beg for his mercy. You are unaware of the glories of Lord Śiva. And thus Brahmā, the devatas are reluctant, and Brahmaji, he takes devatas to Lord Shiva's abode, that is Kailash. Now the next section is text 9 to 22. There is a very beautiful description of the Kailash mountain. And this is the potency of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Right, sitting in the material world, we can have the complete overview picture of how the Kailash mountain, where Lord Shiva's residence, looks like. How it is. There is a beautiful variety of birds, plants, herbs, animals, and devata. There is a description of Kailash mountain, text 9 to 22. Text 23 to 31, there is a description of Alaka region. So this Alaka region is a beautiful forest where there are Alakananda river, and the other rivers are flowing there, and where devatas go to enjoy this. So this Alagapuri, Amaravati, these are the celestial gardens. So there is a description of this Alaka region. And then text 32 to 41, there is darshan of Lord Shiva as seen by Devata. So there we can see the huge banyan tree. Very beautiful verse this is, text 32. Talks about the huge banyan tree under which Lord Shiva is sitting. Right. And there Lord Shiva is sitting very gravely in the Virasana position, a particular mudra which is called as Tarka mudra. And he's surrounded by great personalities as Chatushkumar, Kubera, and Nārada, and all other great sages. And seeing Brahma, Lord Shiva offered his respects to Lord Brahma. So this is text 32 to 41. And then text 42 to 53, the final fifth section of this chapter, we will see that Brahmaji glorifying Lord Shiva and requesting Lord Shiva that please accept the sacrificial share and revive Dakṣa, Bhaga, Bhrugu, Pusha, and other devatas, which are, being chastised by the followers of Lord Shiva. And this is how Brahmaji is going to satisfy Lord Shiva. So we come to the first section, text 1 to 8, devatas approaching Lord Brahma for help. Text 1, 2. Maitreya uvacha अथ देवगणाः सर्वे रुद्रानीकै पराजिताः शूलपट्टीशनिखं गदापरिगमुद्वरैः सञ्चिन्न भिन्न सर्वाङ्गा सर्वित्सख्या भयाकुलाः स्वयंभुवे नमस्कृत्य कार्ष्णैनैतन्यवेदयन्. Translation.
All the priests and other members of the sacrificial assembly and all the demigods, having been defeated by the soldiers of Lord Shiva and injured by the weapons like tridents and swords, approached Lord Brahma with great fear. After offering him obeisances, they began to speak in detail of all the events which had taken place. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So the devatas, they are horrified. They are never expected this kind of thing will happen in yajna. And they were very severely chastised. They were physically injured with tridents and swords. Now, that's why Srila Prabhupada, and in Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned that Dukkhalaya Shashvatam, the material world, this is the misery is a companion in the material world. So although devatas are considered amara because of a very long lifespan, still devatas, they also have to time go under the punishment of or the torment of material nature. And here they are being cut by the sword and the tridents. And they just became very, very afraid, and they approached Lord Brahma and they began to speak to Lord Brahma. Text 3. Upalabhya purayetat bhagavan abja sambhavah narayanascha vishvatma nakasyandharamiyutah. Translation.
Both Lord Brahma and Vishnu had already known that such events would occur in the sacrificial arena of Dakṣa, and knowing beforehand, they did not go to the sacrifice. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.26, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana. The Lord says, I know everything that has happened in the past and is going to happen in the future. Lord Vishnu is omniscient, and he therefore knew what would happen at Daksha's sacrificial arena. For this reason, neither Narayana nor Lord Brahma attended the great sacrifice performed by Daksha.
Yeah. So this Daksha Yajna was there, although all the great devatas were present, but Lord Narayana and Lord Brahma, they knew what is going to happen. And therefore, they did not attend the sacrifice. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes this, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. That the Supreme Lord knows bhavishya. And there is a very beautiful realization here is, so somebody may say, Prabhuji, does it mean that my future is fixed? Is my future fixed? So the answer is very simple. Your future is not fixed, right? But it is known to the Supreme Lord. Or you say, Are, aisa kaisa? Future is not fixed. How it is known to the Supreme Lord? Because the Lord knows beyond the time. So for you, there is a choice. I may do this or may do that. But because the Lord exists beyond time, the time is one of the elements that he plays with, the choice is known to the Supreme Lord. So you have choice. We means you means we. We have choice, but the choice is known. Right? So that is the understanding. We have choice, but the choice is known. And it is not very difficult actually. When such a personality, as a proud, arrogant person like Dakṣa is going to perform some yajna, it is better to avoid such a yajna, right? Because one is aware that what is going to happen in such a yajna, and therefore Lord Vishnu, of course, he knows he is beyond time and he knows what is going to come. But even we also, to the degree we are in mode of goodness, we can actually predict reasonably. We can predict what is going to happen. Reasonably, we can know what is going to happen of these kind of events, knowing that who is performing the event, what is the intention of the performer, and in which mode the event is being performed. So, and that's how Lord Vishnu did not attend. And as soon as Lord Brahma realized Lord Vishnu is not going to be there, Lord Brahma also, he took that signal, very refined signal from Lord Vishnu by his absence. Lord Brahma also did not attend. Lord Shiva, there was no question of Lord Shiva attending because there was enmity between, Dakṣa had picked up enmity with Lord Shiva. And thus this yajna happened without the three predominant deity. Text 4. Tada karne vibhupraha te jiyasi kritagasi Shemaya yatra sa bhuyan na prayena bubushatam.
When Lord Brahma heard everything from the demigods and the members who had attended the sacrifice, he replied, "You cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality and thereby offend his lotus feet. You cannot have happiness in that way." Purport: Lord Brahma explained to the demigods that although Dakṣa wanted to enjoy the results of fruitive sacrificial activities, it was not possible to enjoy when one offends a great personality like Lord Shiva. It was good for Dakṣa to have died in the fight because he had lived. Because if he had lived, he would have committed such offense at the lotus feet of great personality again and again. According to Manu's law, when a person commits murder, punishment is beneficial for him because if he is not killed, he might commit more and more murders and therefore be entangled in his future lives for having killed so many persons. Therefore, the king's punishment for a murderer is appropriate. If those who are extremely offensive are killed by the grace of the Lord, that is good for them. In other words, Lord Brahma explained to the demigods that it was good for Dakṣa to have been killed. Hare Krishna.
So when Lord Brahma heard everything from the demigods and what had happened in the sacrifice, he said, "You cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality and thus offend his lotus feet." And therefore, we see that, in the Vaishnava community, what we remind every day is the 10 offenses against the holy name, Nam Aparad. And the first Nam Aparad is to offend a devotee, to blaspheme a devotee who is a great personality, great devotee. What to speak of Lord Shiva? Is extremely great personality, is Bhagavan Lord Shiva. So the demigod said, "You are offending Lord Shiva." So it was not that the Devatas were directly offending Lord Shiva, but when Dakṣa was offending Lord Shiva, Devatas were mute spectators, and therefore they also became participant in that offense, and thus they also became blasphemer of Lord Shiva. And here Brahmaji is saying, you cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great devotee and thus offend his lotus feet. You cannot have any happiness in this way. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the demigods, they wanted to enjoy the fruits of the Dakṣa Yajna. When the oblations were offered to them, they wanted to enjoy. But it is not possible to enjoy such fruits when the yajna itself is contaminated by aparat towards Lord Shiva. And therefore, Brahmaji is saying it is good that Dakṣa was killed on the spot. Otherwise, he would have committed further many offenses and would have suffered far more. Srila Prabhupada gives example of a capital punishment, Fasi ki saja. So many times people feel that, this punishment should not be there. And, why to kill a person and this and that. Prabhupada says there are two problems, precisely. The first problem is that if such a murderer is not hanged to death, what happens is that there is a propensity to kill, and that will continue killing. And these are like serial murderers. In the days of 80s and 90s, there was this serial murderer in Mumbai area, one after another, just killing. And so Prabhupada says what happens is, and if the government doesn't punish such a murderer, what is going to happen is he's going to accumulate such huge karma that next many future lives he's going to be killed, according to Manu Samhita. So just imagine, just look at a person who commits one murder and then he is hanged to death in this life, his karma is over. But if he is not caught in time and he continues to go on second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, like that, serial killing, 10, 12, 15, in his 15 next lives, one after another, he is going to be brutally killed by the law of karma. And therefore, Prabhupada says here, the king's punishment of a murderer is appropriate. Otherwise, and similarly, here punishing Dakṣa was very appropriate, because otherwise he would have continued with his very sinful tendency, his offensive mentality, and would have created huge karma, for himself to suffer for many lifetimes. Text 5. अथापि यूयं कृतकिल्मिषा भवम् ये बहिर्षो भागभाजं परादुः प्रसादयध्वं परिशुद्धचेतसा क्षिप्रप्रसादं प्रतिगुह्यतां क्षिपद्मम्.
You have excluded Lord Shiva from taking part in the sacrificial rituals, and therefore you are all offenders at his lotus feet. Still, if you go without mental reservation and surrender unto him and fall down at his lotus feet, he will be very pleased. Purport. Lord Shiva is called Ashutosha. Ashu means very soon, and Tosha means to become satisfied. The demigods were advised to go to Lord Shiva and beg his pardon, and because he is very easily pleased, it was certain that their purpose would be served. Lord Brahmā knew the mind of Lord Shiva very well, and he was confident that the demigods who were offenders at his lotus feet could mitigate their offense by going to him and surrendering without reservation. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So now Lord Brahma, he says you excluded Lord Shiva from taking part in the sacrificial result. And this exclusion means it is not just about the credit and other things, it is demeaning Lord Shiva. So he was not called for the yajna. That itself was a great offense. And that itself was that was the point when yajna was already destroyed. Because, Lord Shiva was not called, not invited for. He was not honored at that yajna. And therefore, you all are offenders at his lotus feet. Mark the word all. Right? Not just Dakṣa, but all of them. You are offender. And that's why in the bracket, Lord Brahma says, and that's why I did not attend such a faulty yajna. Neither Lord Vishnu, he attended such a faulty yajna. Not just Dakṣa, but you all are at the offender at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Still, if you go without mental reservations and surrender unto him, he will happy because he is very easily to be pleased. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Lord Shiva is called as Ashutosha. Ashu means very quickly. Janayati Ashu Vairagyam. Ashu means very quickly. Tosha means Santosha. So the personality who is very quickly pleased is called as Ashutosha. Now why Lord Shiva is Ashutosh? Lord Shiva is Ashutosh because he very quickly wants to give the results. Because in the material world, and when there is a good thought is very rare, Lord Shiva, when somebody surrenders unto him, he very quickly wants to give the result and generate some pious credits for such a personality. So this is Ashutosh. And therefore, Lord Brahma advised the demigods to go and beg his pardon, and thus, by taking shelter of him, he will be very easily pleased. Although Lord Shiva is personally very severely at loss of his own wife. Now, look at this point. Correct. Here are the witness of the offenders where his wife self-humiliated herself, Sati, and they are going to come and they are going to take shelter of Lord Shiva because they are afraid. It is not that they have some pure love for Lord Shiva or something like that. Because they are afraid, they are tormented, they are being cut to, their limbs are cut by the tridents and the sword of the Shivanugas, and out of fear they are surrendering. But the greatness of Lord Shiva is that in spite of such a huge personal loss and the huge personal distress, somebody is surrendering and still Lord Shiva is going to be pleased. So this is very important. I mean, for the leaders, and then everybody is a leader, one has to remain in the mode of Sattva Guna. And the balance, of course, we will slip to mode of Rajogun, we will slip to mode of Tamogun, or there will be instances in our life we will be forced to push, we'll be pushed to Rajoguna or Sattva Guna, but still a devotee, he has to try to very quickly come back to mode of goodness and operate from the mode of goodness. Right? Lord Shiva is not here in this case. When the demigods are coming, he is counter cursing and he could destroy the universe. He can do Tandava and everybody is destroyed. No, but Lord Shiva maintains his dignity and grace. And this is how he is Vaishnavanam Yathashambho, the greatest devotee of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes here, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma knew the mind of Lord Shiva very well. And therefore he was confident that when demigods approach and take shelter without reservations, this could mitigate the offense, and thus Lord Shiva would be pleased as he is Ashutosha. Text 6. Now Lord Brahma says there are valid reasons for Lord Shiva being angry. Right? Ashasana jimidadvarasya lokasapala kupitena yasmin tamashu devam priyaya vihinam Kshamapayamadvam Rudividduratve. Translation.
Lord Brahma also advised them that Lord Shiva is so powerful that by his anger all the planets and their chief controllers can be destroyed immediately. Also, he said that Lord Shiva was especially sorry because he had recently lost his dear wife and was also very much afflicted by the unkind words of Dakṣa. Under the circumstances, Lord Brahma suggested it would behoove them to go at the once and beg his pardon.
Now there are certain reasons why Lord Shiva is angry. Durukti, first he was very severely offended by Dakṣa. What kind of words Dakṣa has used. We have seen, right? This is the chapter 2 of this particular canto. And Dakṣa very severely offending Lord Shiva, calling him in so many different names, physically offending, commenting on the physical beauty of Lord Shiva, which is becoming very, very personal. And so Durukti is first, and second, Priyaya Vihinam, that he has lost his very dear wife, Sati. And he is not a personality, sometimes, we become angry. But what power we have? Sometimes, we become angry, we may curse somebody and we may utter some words. The words are also useless because there is no power of any tapasya. Neither we have some physical power to beat somebody, neither we have some political power, neither we have some power. And sometimes we feel that, power hota na Prabhuji, aisa dikha dete usko. And Lord Shiva has everything. By his anger, Lord Brahma says, Lord Shiva is so powerful that he can Forget all this Daksha Bhaksha, all this nonsense. Lord Shiva can destroy the planetary systems along with Lokapala, Dikpala. And this is the potency of Lord Shiva. And you have offended such a personality by Durukti, by speaking wrong words to Lord Shiva. And Priyaya Vihinam. And his wife is also being lost. His dearmost wife Sati, she is also lost. And he is extremely powerful. And look at the restraint of Lord Shiva. Right? This is why he is such a great personality. He is not great because he is forgiving without power. See, sometimes we also forgive people, but what we can do? Most of us, we are so powerless that, we just do something here and there and we may forgive. Many times our forgiveness comes from being no bala in the body or no bala otherwise. Bala hota to dikha dete. But Lord Shiva is on the stage of destroying universe and he is worst offended. Can there be any worse offense than Lord Shiva has gone through in last 2 chapters? He's very severely, physically, personally is offended by such a huge assembly in front of all the devatas. And second, his own wife, because of that offense, she has lost her life. He has lost his wife, and he is extremely powerful. But this is the restraint of Lord Shiva. Right? Srila Prabhupada writes that beautiful statement. Greatness of a man has to be understood, estimated by his ability to tolerate provoking situations. Here, all the provoking situations are in place, and Lord Shiva is extremely powerful, and still there is a complete restraint from Lord Shiva, which shows how greatest of a personality Lord Shiva is. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, everyone. Hare
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
छोड़ो छोड़ो